becoming a man. Jesus becoming a man is an infinite distance. What did I say? Infinite. My becoming a potron is just a small distance like that. But Jesus was prepared to do that and then come down to this earth and walk among sinful men who would touch him. So Jesus came from an environment that was very clean, knew no sin. Now he come down in this sinful earth and men touching him, people coming and pulling his clothes, and Jesus took that. And then at the end of it all, they nailed Jesus to a cross. They beat him until there was not a place on his back that had skin. And by the way, when they were beating him, he was naked. When he was on the cross, he was naked. There's some Elizabethan artists who tried to take some shame off and they put a little loincloth around Jesus, but Jesus on the cross was naked. Because the devil wanted to make him so ashamed that he would not die on the cross, because the devil knew if Jesus died on the cross, we would be saved. So he tried to keep him from going there. So he did everything, and I can't figure out yet how people would spit in Jesus' face and slap him and say, who slapped you? And Jesus had all the power. He said, hey, I could call my Father now, and he would send legions, 10,000 angels to handle all you. But I wouldn't do that. And Jesus took all that because you know what? He saw everybody sitting down in Junior Church yesterday, and he said, I want to save them. Book of Isaiah says he saw of the travail of his soul and he was satisfied. I am satisfied to do this because I want to save them. I love them so bad. And his father said, yes, son, I am satisfied too. So Father, Son, and Spirit was satisfied that Jesus was doing it on the cross. I remember the guy, the father who had a daughter whose only salvation from lupus. She had lupus very badly, and they said the only way she would be saved is if she could get a kidney transplant, but they had to find a donor. And they tried everywhere and no donor was showing up until they finally decided to try her brother. And when they tested the brother, they found that he was the donor that was matching. So the father was saying, no, what to do, boy? My daughter will die if she doesn't get a kidney from my son. But suppose the operation is successful, I could lose both my daughter and my son. What to do? So the father went to the son, and the father explained to the son, hear what? Your sister needs your kidney. If she doesn't get your kidney, she is surely going to die. And the son said, I will give her my kidney. 6 to 8 years old, somewhere around there. Daughter was about 12. And the father felt satisfied to hurt his son to save his daughter. The father felt satisfied to hurt his son to save his daughter. God, who is Father, felt satisfied to hurt his son Jesus to save you and to save me. And Jesus came willingly. The little boy willingly gave his life to save. When the operation was performed, the daughter lived and the son lived. But here's the thing. After they had taken the kidney from the son said, Daddy, am I going to die now? This little boy thought that when they took the kidney from him, he was going to die. And yet, he told the daddy, I will give my daughter, I'll give my sister the kidney. That tells you the extent to which he loved his sister. He was prepared to die to save his sister. Jesus was prepared to die to save you, to save me. And that is the greatest thing that I could give God thanks for Jesus, who came to die to save me. So I thank Jesus for saving me from asthma. And for all you asthmatics sitting here, you don't have asthma. You have a little wheezing. A little wheezing different from asthma. Asthma could kill you. It nearly did me 3 times. Thank God I'm alive. So I thank God for delivering me from asthma. I thank God for one time when he saved me from breaking my neck. Every time I think about it, I think about how God is love. I was in the darkness. I was walking towards a precipice and I didn't know. The precipice was probably by the camera, and I was here. And I stepped off onto some stand. I started to skid and then just stopped. So I walked back like this. Until I got back on the grass. The next morning, I went to see where I had skidded. And when I went, I saw that I was on top of a precipice, and down below was the sea with some rocks and some trees washed up on the shore. Jesus saved me from that. I tell him thanks for that. Tell him thanks for the night when I got very sick. Went to the Arima hospital. They put all kinds of injections in my hand. And I was getting worse and worse. Asthma would not abate in the Arima hospital. It would not abate. In fact, every time they gave me something, I got worse. And then a nurse pulled my fingers like that. And she looked at my fingers and she said, my sister-in-law Steph was there. She said, Steph, look at Bill's fingers. And I looked at my fingers. Remember, I can't read it. I looked at my fingers and it was blue like one of those balloons there. And I knew the implication of blue fingernails. So on top of the fact that I can't breathe, I get frightened. You can't breathe and now you get frightened. So the next thing after you can't breathe and you get frightened is death. And at that point, I was unconscious. So if you haven't been unconscious with asthma, you just have a little reason. I got unconscious. And everything that I am going to tell you now is what Steph told me happened. So I was unconscious in Arima. They put me in an ambulance to take me to Port of Spain. When the ambulance reached into Nakuna by Makoya, the ambulance shut down. I am unconscious. Now they put the thing in your mouth with a tube and they're doing it like that. How you call that? A breathing tube. So they put this thing and they're squeezing it like that to try to keep me alive. And they're doing like this. And the ambulance shut down. That time, there was a hospital in St. Joseph. So they called for the St. Joseph ambulance to come to put me in it. I am telling you why I can't tell no time. So, that ambulance came. They transferred me with my unconscious self into that ambulance. I don't know that, remember Steph is telling me that. They put me in that ambulance. And that ambulance drove off, and that ambulance shut down too. Steph told me you could have sat in this second ambulance and seen the first ambulance. They're about 400 meters away. And I am in there and is squeezing this thing to try to keep me alive. Eventually, they had to send for an ambulance from the San Juan fire station to come up to Tunapuna. From San Juan to Tunapuna, and I am in there all the time trying to keep me alive. That ambulance came, they put me in that ambulance, and I know what you're thinking, but that one didn't shut down. That one eventually took me to Port of Spain. When I got to Port of Spain, remember, I don't know what's happening here. Steph told me all that. When I got there, thank God, a cousin of mine was the doctor in charge, in emergency. And when he saw me, he forget everybody else because his cousin was there. He forgot everybody else and he started to work with me. Now this episode I'm telling you about started around about 7:30 one evening, a Friday evening, just as we had finished worship. 7:30. I got to the Arima Hospital around about 8 o'clock thereabouts. And the first time I opened my eyes was about 2 o'clock the next morning. And when I opened my eyes, standing next to me were my brother, my mother, and the doctor. So when I opened my eyes, I seen a different kind of ceiling. I said, why don't you worry? And my mother and my brother, I could see them smiling now. And they left. And I remained there in the hospital until the following morning when I was discharged. I said all that to tell you, I have something to thank God for. Amen. So every time there's a Thanksgiving, I remember that I must give God thanks. And by the way, that episode that I told you about when I got unconscious because of asthma, it happened 2 times again. But only on the 2 subsequent occasions, I regained consciousness before I got to Port of Spain Hospital. I regained consciousness somewhere between Arima and Port of Spain. You know, I should have told you this. Then after, the next morning when I got home, my mother was so happy. My brother was elated. You know, and Aunt Steph, oh boy, she was very, very happy. But I was feeling my throat sore. So when they brought something, my breakfast, my throat is sore. I said, I get trouble. I never know asthma. You should do that to your throat. And then Steph said, like they call it the thing that will push down in the throat. So I thank God that I'm alive. But above God keeping me alive that time and the 2 subsequent occasions, Jesus died for me. Amen. You know, that would not have happened. That night the devil wanted to take me out. For sure. But Jesus had died to save me because he said, I want you to do something. And he didn't do it yet. So Jesus has saved you, all of you. And you know, when I get to heaven, you know how many other times Jesus would say, remember the night when you were crossing the road and all of a sudden you didn't see the car and all of a sudden you saw the car and you just stood up so and the car pulled up brakes on your nature. Is your angel who did it. And I did that because I love you so much. Jesus loves each one of us. So we must always tell him, thanks. I give you thanks for I am so blessed. My soul is at rest. Oh Lord, I give you thanks. Sing it one more time. Let's go. I give you thanks for all you done. I am so blessed. My soul is at rest. Amen. So, although, you know, a child of the king, children of the king, or I thank God for a niece that I have. I thank the Lord for all of my nieces. But there's a niece who bakes the best banana bread in the world. If you taste that banana bread, you will not want to eat cake. Banana bread is better than cake. If you eat that banana bread, when I get that banana bread that is made by my niece, I eat it like ordinance. I take a little piece and a little piece because I want it to last long. I take a little piece and another little piece. Listen, it's the best tasting banana bread this side of town. You want to know who my niece is so you can get some banana bread? Well, my niece is sitting right there. You have to figure out which one is best tasting banana. I also tell God thanks. I also tell God thanks for 4 or 5 of my friends who came to Junior Church this morning. 5 wonderful. I said, would you come to Junior Church this morning? And Miss Kathy and her 3 grandchildren and Miss Pat's daughter, they are all here this morning. And I tell God thanks that they have come. I tell God thanks for Naomi Edwards and Rishon Simonso. Tell God thanks for them. And Lauren Edwards. And who else, boy? And Amaya Francis. And Naya. I thank God for them. And I thank God for Talia.